Hi, I'm Rye Kennedy here at Make ICT, which is a Wichita, Kansas hackerspace. Today I'm going to show you how to make a custom silicone piece made from a 3D printed mold. Today we're going to make a part that is a squeezable head with a hole in it, hole in the tongue, for your earphone jack. I'm using Smooth-On Smooth-Sil 945 silicone. This is a two-part silicone that is measured in equal parts to make the cured silicone. We're going to use a scale that has at least 0.1 gram accuracy. And we're going to mix everything on top of the scale in a plastic bag to minimize the cleanup. We'll put both parts of the silicone in the baggie and we'll use this plastic knife to scrape it over to one side and help with the mixing process. The next thing we'll want to use is a 3D printed mold. This 3D printed mold has 3 pieces, plus one piece that is an insert to create a hole for the tongue. The 3D printed mold needs mold detack, then we're going to use a syringe to inject the 3D printed mold. We'll secure the 3D printed mold together using cellophane tape. Other things that we'll need are a brown paper bag to create a work surface that can be cleaned up easily, and latex gloves to handle the silicone. So the first step is we're going to prepare the 3D printed mold by spraying it with mold detack. Make sure you use the mold detack that is appropriate for your mold material and your silicone material. I apply a thin coat of mold detack to the mold. After the mold detack is dried, we'll tape the 3D printed mold together. This mold has an injection hole and a vent hole that we'll need to uncover from the tape. If the mold does not have the injection hole and the vent hole already designed into it, you can use a soldering iron to create the holes. I like using a soldering iron because it creates a conical shape that'll be easy to put the syringe into. The next step we'll do is mix the two-part silicone. I've got my latex gloves on and I'll put the plastic baggie in the cup to help measure out the silicone. I know the silicone piece weighs about 4 grams. I'm going to make a silicone batch that is about 7 grams, so I have plenty of excess silicone to make sure the mold is full. First, I'll place the plastic baggie in the cup and tear out the scale so it's back at 0. The difficult thing about these small quantities is getting the exact measurement. So you can see we have 4.3 grams of silicone. The next part, part B, we'll want to make that to be 4.3 grams as well. I'll now tear out the scale and get 4.3 grams of part B. And that's good enough. We're a little bit over, but it'll be fine. Now I'll mix the two-part silicone in the plastic baggie. I use a plastic knife to help move around and mix the material within the plastic baggie. As you can see, it's not quite mixed. The silicone is now mixed and in the corner of the plastic baggie. We'll squeeze the silicone into the syringe, making sure that we leave enough room that air can come out of this end of the syringe. To get any excess out, you can use a knife and squeeze out the excess through the baggie. Now we're ready to inject the silicone into the mold. We'll inject it into the injection port, making sure that the vent hole is open. I'll inject the silicone until I see silicone coming out the vent hole. Once the silicone comes out the vent hole, I'll plug the vent hole with my finger and squeeze more silicone into the mold until I see silicone come out of the sides. As you can see, excess silicone has squeezed out the side of the mold and between the cellophane tape that is holding the mold together. This is how I can be sure that the mold is full. Now we're ready to cure the silicone. You can cure the silicone in a 24-hour period or accelerate the cure time by heating it up. I'll place this in a 170 Fahrenheit oven, which is about 76 degrees Celsius, for 1.5 hours. Which will cure the silicone thoroughly. After the cure time, you can now take the tape off and you're ready to disassemble the mold. The mold will come apart with a little bit of prying. You may have to use a screwdriver to pry the mold apart. Remove as much excess flashing from the mold that you can, or at least detach the flashing from the mold. To get the piece off the mold, we'll have to pry it off. As you can see, there's quite a bit of flashing, this excess material left on the silicone piece. We can either tear this off or cut this off. If you tear it, you run the risk of damaging your part, but it is a cleaner cut. I recommend just cutting it with a good pair of scissors. As you can see, the silicone piece is rather rough looking, with a rough finish. This is due to the 3D printing and the layers of the printed material. But we're after a rough and ready prototype. After the flashing has been removed, you can expect to have a piece that looks similar to this. As you can see, the prototype does not have a finished quality to it, but is very functional. And that's it.